Hi everyone, Omri here. I want to show you today the new Modulove MULTVERT module. This is a buffered multiple with two channels, so you can create copies of all sorts of signals and send them around your patch. It has also an inverted output, which can also be quite useful. So today I want to show you a few ways of how you can use it and why you might consider getting one for your case. So a common signal you might want to get copies of or send around your patch is a clock signal. Right, if you want to sync different modules, if you want to run multiple sequences, I'm going to send my clock here right to the MULTVERT. Already you can see that we get a signal. It has also LEDs. Right, and now we get copies of this clock that we can send around the patch. So first of all, what we can do, I have here the arithmetic sequencer loaded with a Euclidean sequencer here. So I can use a copy of the clock to clock it. Right, and you can see now it's running. And I can use another copy to run even another sequencer, right? Because now again we get copies of this clock. So here I have another sequencer. I have here the voltage block that I have, I'm using here for modulation, so arithmetic for triggers, and the voltage block for modulation. Right, now in this case I have also a delay. Right, for now it's not synced or anything, so I can use another copy, right, of the clock to sync also the delay. Right, so again we have an input, this is our clock, and then I get already 3 copies. I can even use another copy to run even another sequencer. Right, I have here the voltage multi-stage here from Verbos. Right, so I can use another copy of the clock to clock it as well. And this will sequence the pitch of another voice that I have here. Right, now of course clocks are basically triggers or gates, so we don't have to, we can use also other sources like a sequencer itself. Right, I have here another channel on the arithmetic that I can mult. Right, so we have again 2 channels here. I can send it to the second input of the second channel, and now we get more copies of this sequence. Right, so first of all I can trigger an envelope that will bring in a sort of a bass voice. Right, so again this is one copy of this second channel here on arithmetic. And then I can use another copy of the same trigger sequence, of the same sequence here from arithmetic, and actually process it even before, so I can add probability to it. I have here branches for mutable instruments that can add probability to triggers and gates. Right, so I can send this first to probability, and then according to the probability, I can trigger another envelope that will add accents to this voice. So again, I have copies here, and then I can use another copy to add accents through the filter. Right, you can see it's this envelope here. Right, so again, already just with the clock signal, already you can see how useful this is. We can trigger multiple sequencers, we can sync a delay, we can also create copies of trigger sequencers and then use them to trigger, for example, multiple envelopes for accents and different sound design ideas. Another common signal to use is pitch information, and again this is a buffered mult and it's very precise, so it will create perfect copies of pitch information that you can spread out in your case. Right, so I have here a sequence coming from the octone, a pitch sequence. Right, so again I will send this to the mult, and then I can create multiple layers of the same sequence with different voices. So for example, I will send the first output here already to one voice that I have here. I have here the STO. I'm going through some panning modulation. Right, so this will be the first layer. and then I can have another copy, again, and it will be very precise. I don't have to worry about losing voltage or anything. Right, this will go to another voice that I have here, which is cascades. So if I take out the STO, this is now the second layer. Right, this is going through Brusha for make noise, just to create something a bit more interesting. Right, so now I have two layers of the same sequence again because I have duplicates of the pitch information. So together it will sound like this. Right, again, just the STO. And now just cascades. And now both. Now they are both going through a filter that I have here. And another way of using another copy of the pitch information is to send it to the filter. So the higher the notes, the more the filter will be open and it will let the higher notes through. Right? So we don't get this muddy sound. Right? And we can keep the lower notes a bit more filtered, but the higher notes more open. So again, I just take another copy here, and now I can send this to the frequency input of the filter. Right, and now we have a bit more dynamics. Again, the higher the notes, the more the filter will be open. So we get a bit more of a dynamic filter here. Again, this is without, and now with. Right, so we get a more interesting sound. Now, as I mentioned before, we have also here the inverted output. So again, now we have the inverted sequence, the inverted pitch sequence that we can use to create even another layer and sort of counterpoint, sort of add a more compositionally layered voice. Right, so I'm going to send this first through a quantizer just so I can choose the notes that I want it to play. Right, and this will sequence another voice that I have here. Let me take out the other voices. So this will be this one. Right, so again, it's another copy of the sequence, but it's inverted, so we get another variation of the sequence. Right, and this can again work really nicely with the other voices. Another idea is to create a sort of a microcontroller by using offset voltage and again multiplying it, creating duplicates of it and sending it throughout the system. So in this case I have planar 2, which is a joystick that I can use to send offset, right? But this can work with other modules. If you have an attenuverter, for example, that has an offset control, you can also use this. So this I will send right to the Mult, and then I can start adding duplicates of it. So for example, what I have here, I have this sequence, right? I have the arithmetic sequencing a sort of a base. Right, so first of all, what I can do, I can control, for example, the length of the envelope that is controlling the filter. Right, so this will be the first signal here on the Mult, and now I can, with the joystick, with the offset voltage, I can open the attack of the envelope. Right, another thing I can do, of course, is also control the filter itself. So the more I open the envelope, also the filter will open. Again, creating a sort of a macro controller, if you will. Now you can hear this is going also through a delay that I have here. So what I can do, When I open the envelope and when I open the filter, I can also send another copy to raise the repeats or the feedback of the delay. Right, so now we have three things happening at the same time. Right, and we have another layer, and this is also going through a reverb that I can use another copy, right, to open also the reverb. So we have four things happening at the same time with a sort of a macro controller here. Right, so we can create all sorts of transitions. Now again, we have the inverted, let me show you this here, we have also the inverted output. So what I will do, I will use, in this case, a smooth random voltage, right? We have two channels, so this will go to the second channel. Here already you can see the light, right, the LED of the inverted output. And I have here another voice, right, a sequence, and it's going to two filters that then I'm going to use the original copy of this smooth random voltage to open one filter and it's panned to the left. Right, so now it's just the one filter, and then I can use the inverted copy to open the second filter, which is panned to the right, and create by this panning modulation. When one filter opens, the other one is inverted, so it will close. Right, and now if you are with headphones, you can hear this quite clearly. We have sort of a panning modulation. Again, we have the original signal opening one filter and the inverted signal opening the other or closing, and vice versa. Of course, we can also process one sound, sending it to multiple destinations, adding layers to it and more complexity. So here I have a voice, a sequence that I'm sequencing here with arithmetic, and it's going for now just directly to the output. Right, this is the sequence, the original sequence. Right, and now I have again copies of it that I can then process in all sorts of ways. So here, for example, I hope you can see this. I have magneto that I can use to add a delay layer to it. Right, I have here also the microcell, which is a clouds clone, so I can add another granular layer to this, again with another copy of the same simple sequence. Right, you can hear that we get a bit more complexity. I have here also, above magneto here, I have Starlab, which is a reverb, so I can add another layer, again with another copy here, turning it to Starlab. And I'm processing Starlab with a filter, modulated filter, so we get another complex layer. And again, this is all from this one simple voice. And of course, as I mentioned before, the second input here for the second channel is normal. So when there is nothing connected to the second input, it will take the signal from the first input. So we have more duplicates that we can use, right? Again, I will not connect anything to the input, so I can just take another copy here. And this is going to Brusha, which is another type of delay for make noise. Right, and again, from this, let me take everything out here. From this simple sequence, right, we created duplicates of it, we multiplied it, and we have something much more complex. Right, so I hope I could show you how useful Mult can be. And again, we have here two channels. It's a buffered Mult, it's very precise, and we have also the inverted output, which is a nice bonus. And that was it for today. I'm going to add the bass to this. Thank you again so much for watching. Cheers.